Okay, so the reason I get you here without the dogs tonight is to help you understand that what we're going to do in the next 5 weeks is not the answer, okay? It's tools. It's part of the cure for the problems. But the cure for all the behavioral problems that your dog is exhibiting comes from you, okay? How your dog behaves is determined by watching how you behave. You know, if you've had dogs, that dogs are experts in human behavior, okay? They watch every subtle nuance of your behavior, okay? And if you behave like a leader, okay, your dog is going to say, okay, I respect you enough to sit and down and stay and come, okay? But you could practice sit and stay and down and come for 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and if you don't deal with the issues that appeal to the dog's pack instincts in a way that's going to convince your dog that you are indeed a leader, the dog's just not going to respond to your commands. Every dog shares 99.9% of its DNA with its wolf ancestors, okay? And these dogs are still running on those same pack instincts. That's all they have to go on. They're not intellectual, they're instinctual, okay? So I boiled it down to 5 basic issues that you deal with on a daily basis, and dealing with these issues properly in a way that convinces the dog that you are indeed high enough in the pecking order is the key to having a well-behaved dog. Obviously, we need some tools. We need a dog that will sit and stay and down and calm. But as I said, if you don't earn the dog's respect, the dog's just not going to respond to those commands consistently. With minimal training, you can have a very well-behaved, well-adjusted, happy dog with minimal obedience training. All the training in the world is not going to get your dog to respond to you consistently if you don't deal with these issues properly, okay? So the first of the 5 issues that I think is probably the one that gets most people in trouble is the instinct that every member of the pack focuses on, follows, pays attention to the leader of the pack, okay? So when your dog comes into your home, whether it's an 8-week-old puppy or an 8-year-old rescue dog, okay, their main priority in the first 6 months, a year, year and a half, well, a year for a puppy, 6 months to a year with an adult dog, their main priority in life is figuring out their place in the pack. We see it here all the time where dogs get adopted, and for the first couple of months, oh, this dog was just ideal, absolutely wonderful dog. Then all of a sudden, after 3 months, he's becoming aggressive towards strangers. He's guarding food. He's guarding resting places. And that's because the honeymoon was over. The dog watched how these humans behaved for that first 3 months and then decided, okay, I'm going to be running the show here, okay? And the domesticated dog is not psychologically equipped to be a leader. That's the root of every behavioral problem, you know, unless the dog is nuts. I'm talking about, you know, I've seen dogs that aren't wired right, but if your dog is a normal, healthy dog, you can have behavioral problems because of your relationship with the dog, okay? So what happens is they're watching you, how you behave, and when all of a sudden they're convinced that they're running the show, they melt down. And it manifests in different ways in different dogs. Dominance problems, and every problem is pretty much a dominance problem. And dominance has absolutely nothing to do with the dog's genetic predisposition. I've seen very, very dominant dogs that were absolutely wonderfully behaved because the humans were one step higher in the pecking order. And I've seen roll over on your back pee submissive dogs that are exhibiting dominance problems because the humans are one step lower in the pecking order. Okay? So a dominance problem has nothing to do with the dog's genetic level of dominance. So what happens is, once the dog is totally convinced that they're the leader, and with a puppy you don't see it manifest until about 18 months to 3 years of age. That's when the real problems start to show up. And when they're convinced that they are indeed in control, they can't deal with it. The domesticated dog has lost the ability to be the leader of the pack. Compared to a wolf, an 8-year-old domesticated dog exhibits behavior that an 8-month-old wolf puppy would exhibit. They never mature psychologically. It's a phenomenon they call paedomorphism. Anytime you domesticate an animal, because we've been taking care of them for 20,000 years, they never really reach the level of psychological maturity that their wild ancestors did, okay? But they still have that drive to be the leader of the pack. The pack can't survive without a capable leader. When you don't do it, I gotta do it. And once you convince your dog that the dog is in control, it's like quitting your job and putting the 6-year-old in charge of the family. Never a good idea, okay? And they melt down. They just can't deal with the pressures of being responsible for you rather than to you, okay? That's why when people come in the house and your dog is like, oh my God, oh my God, he's not, oh, I'm so happy that people are here. He's saying, what do I do? What do I do? Am I responsible? Am I responsible to you? Am I responsible for you? What do I do? What do I do? Okay? It's anxiety, okay? So through obedience, you're going to say, this is what I want you to do, okay? By dealing with these issues that appeal to those pack instincts in a way that's going to convince him to the leader, he's going to be more than happy to do it for you, okay? So that's the root of all behavioral problems, all right? So attention, everyone pays attention to the leader of the pack. So when your dog comes into your home, his instincts are saying, okay, you have to seek the highest level of the pack that you can achieve. Sort of quality control for the pack. If everybody wants your job, you better be good at it, okay? So when they do finally achieve that, they can't deal with it anymore. They can't deal with the responsibility of being the leader of the pack, okay? So the attention. If everyone pays attention to the leader of the pack, and I have a drive to become the leader of the pack, then I got to get you to pay attention to me. And this is where most people really miss out on reaching their dog's potential, because they give their dogs way too much freedom too soon, right out of the gate, and then try to deal with unwanted behavior with verbal reprimands. No, off, drop that. And very early in the relationship, the dog realizes that the most efficient way to get attention is to do negative things, okay? If you're on the computer and your dog comes in and sits, almost guaranteed that's going to go unnoticed, okay? If you're on the computer and your dog comes in with your sock in his mouth, that's going to get your attention, okay? Guaranteed. So, and a lot of times the verbal reprimands work. Drop that. And the dog goes, yeah, no problem, I'll drop it. Because I didn't want the sock, I wanted you to stop what you're doing and tell me to drop it, okay? Two things just happened. One, you're motivating the dog to get into mischief to get attention. It's the most efficient way, okay? When you're on the computer and I do something good, you're not going to stop what you're doing and give me attention. If I do something that you don't like, that's guaranteed. So we're motivating the dog to do negative things for negative attention, and every time you stop what you're doing and say, hey, drop that, the dog moves up in the pecking order. I got you to pay attention to me, so I'm destined to be the leader of the pack. So you see how that works? Yeah. Okay? Absolutely, and the reason, you know, that they go for socks if I want your attention, their whole world revolves around their nose, okay? So if I want your attention, I'm going to look for something with your scent on it. And our socks definitely have our scent on it. And they do target things that have our scent on it. So this is the greatest motivator. The attention, the desire for attention is a great motivator. And it's going to be what we're going to use as our reward system in this type of training, okay? We're not going to do sit, treat, down, treat, this, treat. The dog's not working because he respects you, she respects you. The dog's working because you got a pepperoni in your pocket, okay? So we want to reward the dogs with love, attention, positive reinforcement. Most people don't use this approach because they don't know how to motivate a dog to work for attention. Why would I want to work for attention when I can steal your sock to get it? Okay? If I can get it for nothing, why would I work for it? So the key to reaching your dog's potential and motivating them to work for the attention is creating an environment where the dog only gets positive attention for positive behavior. Okay? So how do we do that? Number one, all the attention that you initiate is on a reward basis. Okay? When you go up to your dog and say, "Oh, no, sweetie, oh, you're such a good puppy," oh, okay? The dog says, "Ah, yes, I'm getting the attention I deserve because I'm destined to be the leader of the pack." You gave the dog that attention for nothing. You know, this is how I've seen puppies that people have had these puppies for 2 weeks, and already that puppy is showing signs that they're definitely going to be running the show. I see this in the puppies. And that's because you bring this cute little cuddly puppy, and everybody's, "Oh, look at this, oh, this puppy's so cute." You know, and I love my puppies. I love every puppy that does. But I understand that right from the beginning, they need to work for their attention. This is where the obedience comes in. The ability to ask something in return for everything that you give to the dog, okay? That's where the sit and the stay and the down. So when you say sit, okay, when you want to give your dog attention and you say sit, all right, then you say, I like to use the dog's name and the command that they're responding to in my positive reinforcement. You say, "Missy, sit." Okay, Missy sits, you say, "Oh, Missy, what a good sit, what a good girl." Okay, so she knows without a doubt that she's getting that attention as a reward for doing something for you, not because she deserves it, because she's destined to be the leader of the pack. Okay, that's number one. Make sure all the attention you initiate is on a reward basis. Number two, until we have some more tools to work with, we're giving you the tools in this next few weeks, but until you have the tools to work with, you need to create what we call a safe area for the dog, okay? Any housebreaking issues? You guys have? No, okay. So the safe area doesn't, if you're not having housebreaking issues or the dog is not destructive, then you don't have to use a crate. You can have a gated area, but someplace where you can segregate the dog when you can't really give them quality time, okay? Like for now, I would segregate, was it Hogarth? Okay. I would segregate Hogarth before company comes in the door, until you have some tools to work with in that situation.
We do that sometimes. Put him in the basement. There's a room down there where he can't move.
Which is okay.
Sounds to me like it's decent.
Well, but it's okay until we have the tools to work with. Long term, it's only going to make matters worse.
Right.
Okay? It's only going to desocialize the dog and make matters much worse.
I don't want to do that like when I want my elder, somebody.
Well, but I'd like to see you do it all the time until you have some tools. And, you know, in another week or two, another 2 weeks, you'll have the tools to deal with a situation like that. But until you do, if you can't do the proper thing in a situation, then take the dog out of the situation. The cardinal rule of behavioral problem solving is if you can't deal with the behavior while it's happening, then don't let it happen. Segregate the dog at this point. And as you get more tools, we'll reintegrate the dog into these situations and show the dog the proper way to behave in that situation. So you need to create this safe area. And what you want to do is also use this safe area before you do the things that you do that motivates the dog to demand attention from you. And usually it's any time that you're focused on the computer, you're trying to eat dinner, you're trying to watch some TV, you're trying to read a book. Anytime that dog sees your attention focused on something besides the dog, that's unacceptable behavior on your part if I'm ever going to be the leader. And they're going to act out. They're going to do something that's going to get your attention. And they learn very quick how to push your buttons. Okay? So you need to avoid that. Okay? Now, the alternative to the safe area is an exercise that we're going to work on called the long down stay. This is the holy grail of dog training. The long down stay. Okay? When you can say, Hogarth, down, stay. Okay? The down, if you ever worked with a dog, the down is a very, very challenging exercise. It's a very subordinate posture. They don't want to do it. But when you can say, okay, down, stay, and work on the computer, now, rather than asserting his dominance by pushing your buttons for attention, the dog is showing subordinates to you by doing the down stay. And two very beautiful things happen. One, that's going to become the dog's normal behavior in that situation. And two, because it's such a subordinate posture, the dog's saying, wow, you're really in control, okay? We probably spend 80% of our time with our dogs paying attention to something other than our dogs, okay? We're cooking, we're cleaning, we're watching TV, we're reading a book, we're on the computer, okay? Which means if your dog's just hanging out with you in those situations, then 80% of the time that your dog is with you, your dog is in control, not you, okay? Even if the dog's not getting into mischief, they're doing what they want to do, and they are in control of their life. They're doing what they want to do in that situation. The downstay completely changes that. The downstay puts you, that's the ultimate of you being in control, okay? So, safe area, make the dog earn all the attention you initiate, and the dog should always be on a leash and a training collar, in the house, outside the house, okay? Training is 24/7. Your dog is always in training till they're trained. If you want to have a dog that responds without a leash and collar, without a leash and training collar, you need to use it very consistently. 6-foot leash in the house, on walks, a 30-foot long line out in the backyard, at the park, okay, so they can still get exercise, they can still play, but when you say, Hogarth, come, and he looks at you like, yeah, right, you have the ability to reel right in. You're in control, and that's what you need in the backyard. You know, when dogs have a fenced-in yard and they run around in that fenced-in yard, that becomes their territory. They're in control there. And when you try to tell them to do something like, come on, what are you kidding me? I'm in control out here. This is my territory out here. They're very territorial animals. So every time you're with a dog, no matter where you are with the dog, you have to be in control of the dog. Name of the game, okay? So if you do those three things, if all the attention you initiate is on a reward basis, if you have a leash and collar and you have the ability to correct negative behavior without negative attention. Now the key to using a leash and a training collar humanely and effectively is when you correct the dog, you don't make eye contact and you don't verbalize, okay? You want the dog's only association with the correction to be the behavior you're correcting, okay? So if a dog jumps on company, okay, and you have him on a leash, and you just give him a correction when he jumps, and you don't say anything, and you don't make direct eye contact, he's going to say, wow, that happens every time I jump. If you say, off, he's going to say, what a jerk. What'd you do that for? Because you associated yourself with the correction. Okay, so we disassociate ourselves, yes.
When's too late? Like, when is it too late to do a correction?
After the fact. It has to be timely. It has to be a timely correction, okay? Simultaneous with the infraction. Okay, that's why you got to hang on to that leash until you have a good downstay.
So you're saying have the dog on a leash indoors?
Absolutely.
So he's dragging around the leash everywhere?
Not dragging it, you're hanging on to it, okay? If you can't hang on to the leash, the dog is in the safe area. So you want to sit down and watch TV? Give your dog a chew toy or whatever, hang on to that leash, okay? The cat comes in the room, all right, and you don't want him to, you have the ability to correct that. Company comes to the door, you're in control.
Just during the training period.
The training period is 6 months to a year, yes. But that's the key. The key to an off-lead dog, a dog that responds without a leash and collar, is consistent use of the leash and collar. If you're the least bit inconsistent with the use of the leash and collar, then the dog learns very quickly, okay, when I'm on that leash and collar, I have to be a little angel, but as soon as you take it off, I can get away with stuff. And then you're going to go 6 months to a year of hard work, you're going to take it off, and the dog's going to say, cool, now I can get away with stuff. Consistent use. When I raise a puppy, okay, that puppy's on a leash all the time, day one, long line. By 18 months, they never see a leash again for the rest of their life. Okay? But the key is being consistent. If you've at least been inconsistent, it ain't gonna work. Yes?
So you're kind of saying don't feel bad for the dog for the first 6 months to a year because they're not being tortured, is what you're saying?
I'll tell you, if you want to see a tortured dog, look at a dog with separation anxiety. That's a form of a dominance problem. Okay, that's a tortured dog. Okay, dogs adapt very well to being on a leash and collar. Actually, you're going to see, I mean, I see dogs all the time that are basket cases. Okay, we put that leash and collar on them, they're like, oh, finally, somebody's in control here. I can relax and be a dog. Trust me, you're doing the greatest gift you can ever give your dog is being a leader. They're happy, my dogs don't even chew toys. That's a stress response, okay? They're very zen-like, you know? They just, outside, run, you know.
So you're saying too, because I have a fenced in yard, my other two dogs are fine, they come, never did any leash training with them, but this one.
Right, every dog's
And I do have a runner back there, which we did use.
Yeah.
Until we got the last side fenced up.
Right.
Now we gotta let them all run, so.
Yeah, you want to reconsider that with the pup, okay? Our goal is to give them that freedom, but yet you still be in control. And you have to be in control over a period of time before he's going to buy into that fact. Okay? All right, so if you do those three things, if all the attention you initiate is on a reward basis, a simple sit, if you create a safe area where you can segregate the dog before you do the things that you do where you can't give the dog your attention, it's not quality time with the dog anyway, okay, until you have a good downstay, okay? And when the dog is with you, you have the ability to correct negative behavior without negative attention with the leash and collar. You've now created an environment where the dog is only going to get positive attention for positive behavior. And not only do they become motivated to do good things for the attention, they're going to work for the attention. They're going to be motivated to say, okay, I'll sit for you because you're going to give me an attaboy. You know, at first you're going to say, oh, what a good dog. And I say, that's it, my reward, attention. But once they're in this environment where that's the only way they get the attention, for a while, they will become very motivated to work for that attention.
And when you say the reward for, a good behavior, like for a sit, like a sit on command, or like, here, if you sit, you can have this, piece of food or whatever.
Right. We want the dog to respond just on command, not because you got a piece of food in your hand.
Right, no, I understand, but like during the training part of getting the sit, initially.
Oh, piece of cake, you'll see. The dogs are going to be easy. The dogs are the easy part of this whole thing. It's the humans that...
Without a word, without food, she'll sit. I can do that and she'll sit. Not in the backyard thing yet.
Right. Because at this point,
And it's only 2 weeks of doing the focus exercise.
at this point, you don't have the ability to back it up out in the backyard, which is the difference. And she knows that, okay? All right. So that's attention, okay? And when we talk about corrections, for every correction we give the dog, there's an alternative behavior that gets the love. I'm not just randomly correcting my dog every time they do. I'm going to say, okay, this is how I want you to behave in this situation. Then you're going to get love. It's when you don't exhibit that behavior that you get the correction. Like a good example would be, rule number 1 was make the dog sit every time you give them attention. That's the alternative to jumping. Okay? I never get attention unless my butt and 2 front feet are attached to the floor. So when company comes through the door, okay, and I'm going to show you what we call a focus exercise to get the dog's attention in that situation, and you say, okay, Hogarth, sit, all right? So if he sits, everybody's going, oh, what a great dog, what a good boy. He's going to get that attention. He's going to get a correction if he breaks the sit, not for jumping per se, but because he broke the sit. He has to break the sit to jump, and you told him to sit. So for every correction we give the dog, there's that alternative behavior that gets the love. And that's the way we're going to approach this. We're going to facilitate a decision-making process through positive and negative reinforcement. Whenever I make a decision to do this, I get corrected. When I make a decision to do this, everybody says, oh, you're the best little dog in the world. And it doesn't take long before they become really motivated to do those good things in that type of environment. But you really have to condition yourself not to respond verbally.
What should I expect the first time I correct my dog with the prong collar?
It depends on the dog. I mean, there are some dogs that they're just like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then there are other dogs that are going to act like you're pulling their toenails out, okay? But, and a lot of times people say, oh my God, I'm hurting the dog, okay? Because they react that way when you correct the dog. But it can be any number of factors. And usually, the reason a dog will behave that way toward a correction is because they were separated from their mother too young. I see it all the time. When puppies are taken away from their mother before the mother really has the chance to properly wean them, because so many of these breeders are just after the buck, you know, okay, yep, sell them, you know. And the way the mom weans the puppy is when he comes to nurse, okay, and she's had enough of it, she's going to turn around and nip him on the neck. So that's what we call the one-time no, okay? And if puppies that haven't been corrected like that when they were young will react terribly to a correction. But you got to get through it. You got to say, okay, you know, this is not because I'm physically hurting the dog. It's because the dog is just not used to being corrected. It's never happened to them before. Okay, so you know we'll just gauge it. You know, every dog's an individual. We just have to see how they're going to react to the correction. Okay, so that's number 1. Attention, huge issue. Number 2 is food. Food is a biggie. The whole dominant system, okay, the system that keeps order in a pack of wolves, okay, it's like being in the Army. You got generals and sergeants and privates, okay? Everybody has a place in the pecking order. And I think that the catalyst for the evolution of the dominant system was food, okay? You get a bunch of predators that are viciously killing their prey. I mean, that's pretty vicious when you see them kill their prey, okay? And once the prey is dead, that they could turn on each other over who's going to eat that prey first, okay? They could start killing each other over who's going to eat that dead caribou first. So I believe that was why the dominant system evolved, is to keep order in situations like that, where they're going to eat in order of dominance, okay? So the alpha male, the alpha female, they eat first, they get the best cuts, they get the organ meats, and then when they're done, they preside over the rest of the meal, and they watch the rest of the pack eat and make sure that everybody eats in an orderly fashion. I'm sure you've seen these nature shows where, you know, a young wolf will try to sneak in and eat out. They're like people, they don't always follow the rules, you know. So this young upstart tries to sneak in and eat out of turn, and the alpha male will come down and put him down and grab him by the throat. You know, there's no blood. It's called ritual aggression, but you think they're tearing each other up. So the way this relates to your relationship with your dog is your dog's instincts tell her that the leader of the pack controls the food. The leader of the pack decides who's going to eat and when they're going to eat. So to make this work to your advantage, number one, the dog has to earn their food, okay? If you just give your dog food, if you say, here you go, honey, here's your food, that is the ultimate act of subordinance right there, okay? Giving the dog food. You were put on this earth. And again, that's a recipe for separation anxiety. If the dog perceives you as the member of the pack who provides the food for him, okay, when you're not there to do it, they think they're going to die. So this is why this working relationship, I'm self-reliant. I earn my food, you see? So to make the food thing work to your advantage, number one, you have to make the dog earn it, a simple sit, okay? Now, eventually, again, the downstay. We're going to have the dogs do a downstay for food, little short downstay. If the dog doesn't finish their food within 20 minutes, take it away, okay? Don't free feed the dog. If your dog can eat whenever the dog wants to eat, then the dog controls the food, which means the dog controls the pack.
What happens right now is when we're feeding 3 dogs, you know, we stir the bowls up. Once he hears that, you know, stirring the spoon in the bowl, he just bark. I mean, he bark. I mean, it's not being bad, but it's just like,
He's excited about food. Well, you know, again, put the dog in the safe area, prepare the food, bring him out on a leash, and show him exactly what he's got to do to earn his food.
Just make them sit.
Right now, make him sit. Eventually, we're going to do a downstay for the food. Okay, sitting, the dog earned the food. Downstay, the dog showed subordinates for the food. That is huge. That's a big deal. Okay? Resting places. Keep the dog off the beds, off the furniture. Don't lay on the floor with them. That, I'll tell you, I've seen that so much here in the shelter system where, you know, we have the adoption counselors. When people adopt a dog, we have them trained, you know, let the dog up on the couch, don't let him up on the bed for the first few months, you know, be in control. And that night you see pictures on Facebook of the dog laying there on the pillow.
I got to be completely honest with you, that's going to be a problem. 'Cause he's at the foot of my 11-year-old daughter's bed every night, even if he isn't there when we go to sleep. You know?
Well, it might be a problem. You might perceive it as a problem. Usually next week people come back and I say, well, how'd the bed thing go? Well, the dog did fine. It was tough on the kid, but the dog did fine. But it's something, I'll tell you right now, there's a potential for that dog not letting anyone near your daughter someday.
Yeah.
Already it started.
Because I moved my mother with me, and she gets Natalie ready for school in the morning. She goes to wake her up. So, I mean, the dog doesn't get aggressive,
But
he'll go from the foot of the bed, but he'll go right up. You know what I mean?
right, because he's not to the point where the problems have fully developed. 18 months, 3 years of age, your mom's going to walk in there and he's going to nail it.
Now that is okay with mother-in-laws.
No comment.
I'm cool with my mother-in-law. My strange wife.
But yeah, you want to nip that in the bud. Don't, you know, down the road, you can do these things. You can get away with this stuff. But you know, now, during this period where you're trying to establish a relationship with a dog, it's a huge issue and just something you want to avoid. Okay? Something as simple as who goes through the door first. The pack leaves and enters its territory in order of dominance. So if you take your dog outside and the dog is making a real effort to get out that door ahead of you, he's letting you know where you're going to fit into the pecking order. Okay? So, you know, at this point, without the real tools to deal with it, just physically hold the dog back and get across that threshold ahead of the dog. Okay? And last, and this is a biggie, and this is one of the tougher ones to deal with, is who's leading on the walks. Okay? If your dog is ahead of you on the walks, there's no clearer way to convince your dog you're a follower than to follow your dog. Okay? If you want to be a leader, you have to lead on the walk. So that's going to be one of the first things that we're going to deal with when we bring in the dogs in next week, is getting them to walk nicely on the leash. Because not only is that a huge issue, okay? If your dog is ahead of you on the walks, and you'll see your dog knows there's a very specific point. You've seen this. There's a very specific point that separates leader from follower, okay? They don't have to be out at the end of the leash to be a leader. They just have to be a little bit ahead, okay? And if your dog is leading on your walks, then eventually if you take that leash off, the dog's going to say, okay, I can go wherever I want to go, and it's your responsibility to follow me. Pack mentality, okay? If the dog is focused on you and following you on your walks, then you're going to take that leash off, and guess what? The dog's going to focus on and follow you.
How can a dog be to be trained on that issue? Because right now, the only dog that I walk is the old girl. She's 10 years old. Because the other, all three of them run in the backyard, so I don't necessarily walk all three. But I walk the old one, I just figure she.
Well, I would encourage you to at least take them for short walks every day. It doesn't have to be a huge 3-mile walk to get the point across, as long as if you went for a 5-minute walk and you consistently led on the walk, then you're the leader. So it doesn't have to be a huge walk, but I'm going to, after a week of training, and the way this is going to work is, okay, each week when we teach the dog something new here, all right, everything we're going to teach these guys, how to walk on the leash, to sit stay, to down stay, come when called. Each of these exercises are designed to work in any environment with any kind of distraction, okay? My theory is if you want your dog to do a down stay when company comes through the door, then you have to have the ability to practice down stay while company's coming through the door, okay? It's the only way it's going to work. But I always encourage you to do 1 week of socialization to each new idea in the most non-distractive environment you can provide. Lay a good foundation so we know the dog completely understands the concept, and then go looking for distractions after that. So the first week, when we come here next week and we do this focus exercise with the dogs, get them to walk on the leash, I'm going to encourage you not to take them off the property for the first week anyway. Okay, but you do want to do it in the backyard without the other dogs. And that's something you want to do too, is get out there and do that focus in the backyard. So you're in control in the backyard also.
Yeah, that's going to be the new thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, very important, very important. So, not only is this focus exercise going to get the dog to walk nicely on the leash, but it's going to be the key, the link that's going to get them to respond to sit and down and stay in distractive situations. It's a method of redirecting their attention and actually getting them to pay attention to you in a distractive situation. It's going to desensitize them to squirrels and birds and cats and leaves and all kinds of great stuff. It's a really, really powerful exercise. Okay, so these are the issues, and I'm going to give you a written handout that goes over all this, okay? Well, you guys got that already, anyway. Attention, make sure all the attention you initiate's on a reward basis. Make sure the dog is on a leash and collar so you have the ability to correct negative behavior without negative attention. Create a safe area until you have a good downstay. Food, make sure the dog earns the food. Give them 20 minutes tops to eat it, and then take it away if they don't finish it. Keep them off the beds and furniture. Don't lay on the floor with them. Go out the door first and lead on the walks. And those are the bare bones issues that you deal with that the dog is watching to determine whether you have the right stuff to be the leader. And that's where most people go wrong with their training. They teach the dog to sit, they teach the dog to stay, they teach the dog to down, but then they let the dog go out first, go out the door first, the dog is on the bed, the dog is leading on the walks. So we're not convincing the dog that we're really high enough in the pecking order to tell him to do all these things. And this is the key, right here. This is what makes all that work. And again, with minimal training, you can have a wonderful, well-behaved, well-adjusted, happy dog by acting like a leader. Simple as that. All right? Any other questions?
No, you covered all the stuff that I had questions on.
Yeah, I brought this, I just want, is this something that is inappropriate or?
No, we'll show you
I always feel like this is like,
a torture device. Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, let me explain a little bit about the prong collar, okay? You know, if you're gonna abuse your dog, you can abuse your dog. I've seen people hit their dogs with a leash. Does that mean leashes are inhumane? No, it's a jerk that's hitting the dog that's inhumane, okay? So used properly, okay? Not as punishment. We're not punishing the dog. It's how they learn, okay? How have wolves, dogs, been correcting each other since the dawn of time? They nip each other on the neck. It's called ritual aggression, okay? Okay? What that collar does, if used properly, okay, is it feels like a mouth grasping their neck. And they are hardwired to know that when they feel a mouth on their neck, that what they're doing is inappropriate. But again, the key to using it humanely and effectively is not to verbalize and don't make direct eye contact when you're correcting the dog. Disassociate yourself from the correction. You provide the love, that does all the dirty work. Okay? I've raised dogs for many years now that have never heard anything negative from me. They hear commands and they get love.
Well, the thing with Hogarth is, unfortunately, when my wife left, she ended up basically shacking up with somebody else, and this guy bought the dog. And there was, I'm not going to say bad abuse, but, you know, some hitting. And
Well,
it was,
nothing we can do about that.
Right.
We cannot change the past. All we can do is make a better future for the dog.
I've had him since March,
Right.
so he's, you know, there's been none of that since then. But
There's still lingering signs of it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But this will help to overcome that. Because from this point on, he's never going to see anything but love from you. Okay? You're always, the humans are the good guys in this whole thing. They're not the abusers, they're the good guys. And we're going to significantly build that dog's confidence level up. You know, there's people that are going to say, oh, why would you use something like that on your dog? And I would say, why would you yell at your dog? I would never yell at my dog. That's inhumane because they don't understand it. They don't get it. And it just, you know, they got to do what they got to do to get attention, okay? But they don't like getting yelled at. How many times have I heard, I come home and the dog's got the trash all over the kitchen, okay? And he knows he did wrong. He's under the table with his tail tucked in his ears back, and he knows he did wrong. And I give him hell, and he does it again tomorrow night. The dog doesn't like getting yelled at, but he's got to get the attention. And it makes them a neurotic mess. It turns them into psychological basket cases, okay? This way, you're correcting negative behavior in a way that they completely understand. You use that collar properly, and within a couple of months, within a month or two, the dog will show avoidance to the behaviors that we want to program out of the system, okay? If every time I jump on company, all I get is nipped on the neck, why the hell would I jump on company?
do you think I should have this collar on in the house?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Even when he's sleeping?
No. You take it off when he's in the safe area.
Okay.
But whenever he's with you, you're in control. You have the ability to correct negative behavior without negative attention.
Keep him on like a short 4 to 6 foot.
6 foot leash, absolutely.
Could I use a choke collar instead?
Choke collars look rather benign, but they're very damaging. Schützen, the Verein für Schäfer in Germany, did a study years ago when the prong collar first came out. It was a real controversial thing. And they followed 2 groups of German Shepherds throughout their lifetime. Group A being trained on the prong collar and Group B being trained on choke chains. And when these dogs died of natural causes, they necropsied them. And the dogs on the choke chain group had significant nerve and muscle damage to their necks, whereas not with the prong. The prong collar does not take a violent correction to get their attention. The prong collar, it's that feeling of a mouth being on, okay, I screwed up, I know it. I'm hardwired to know that when I feel a mouth on my neck that I screwed up.
Yeah, she responds really good to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
He does respond.
Absolutely. But the key, you know, if you're taking your prong collar and you're slamming it, damn you, I told you to cut that, you know, that's inhumane, absolutely, okay? But we're not going to do that. We're going to use it as a learning tool, okay? A very effective learning tool. And as I said, with my puppies, when I raise a puppy, okay, honest to God, that puppy by 6 months is in an environment that's 90% love and positive reinforcement. Because 2 months on that collar and they're already showing avoidance to the behavior that I'm correcting. And they're becoming very motivated to do the good things because it's the only damn way they're going to get any attention around there. You see? And they're raised in this environment where they never hear anything from me but love. Okay? I'm the good guy in the whole thing. And the whole process is 95% love and positive reinforcement because we're communicating in a language that the dog completely understands. The problem with most people's approach to training their dog is trying to elevate the dog to human status rather than learning how to communicate with the dog at a level that they understand. I see people all the time, look, Fido, if this behavior continues, there's going to be ramifications, It's like, okay, that's just attention, okay? So this is it. This is communicating at a level that I don't think you could ever reach your dog's potential, not a house dog. I mean, if you kept your dog in a kennel, okay, and you only took him out and did food training, but the dog lived in a kennel, it wasn't a house dog, wasn't a part of the family, you could get away with that, without ever using that negative reinforcement. But if you're going to live with your dog, you have to establish that there's a pecking order in there, and you need a method of correcting negative behavior without negative attention. One of the keys, that's a cornerstone to my whole approach, is only positive attention for positive behavior. All the dog should see from you is love. It's a beautiful thing.
So when you're first trying to keep the dog off the furniture or off the beds, like tonight when I go home, how do I keep him off my bed?
Safe area.
So,
Cradle. Well, one thing, and you're not going to use your prong collar on this, but I rescued a dog once. Oh my God, if you put him in a crate, the crate would go tumbling across the room. And all I did was I put a bed at the foot of the bed. I tied a leash to the foot of the bed. I put it on a flat collar, regular leather flat collar, okay? So he could get up and turn around, but he couldn't get up on the bed. But I mean,
obviously I can go to bed and everybody can go to bed in the house. He'll be on the floor next to her bed.
right, but then by morning, he's on the bed. But I guarantee, you see the problems developing when your mom goes in there to wake her up. That's going to get ugly someday, I mean, I know married couples that, the husband comes home from work, goes to get in bed, and the dog bites him.
Kick them both out.
Huh?
Kick them both out.
Yeah, there you go. Okay? So this is it. This is the key. I'll give you a written handout that goes over all the things we talked about tonight. But this is the key to reaching your dog's potential. It is not just training the dog, but convincing the dog you're in a position to tell him what to do. Okay? So we're ready to do this next week? Sounds like a plan.
I'm a little nervous about seeing another dog, but
Don't be. We got a big enough room here. Everybody's on a leash.
I'll go to the nervous, she'll pick up on that. Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I'm not concerned about it.
You shouldn't be. Don't worry about it.
You're here to help us redirect her and show us what to do in that situation. She does have aggression towards other dogs, but it's fear-based.
Yep. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. I've had so many times where people have come to the class and they're like, oh my God, our German Shepherd is so dog aggressive. And then I say, oh, show up a little early, okay? By the time the other dogs show up, everybody's like, that's the dog they were worried about?
Just make sure your leash isn't broken.
Yeah. Make sure it's not a dollar store leash. I had that happen to me before. Oh yeah, people donate leashes here, and we had a pretty aggressive dog, and we had somebody donate a dollar store leash, and the dog just snapped the leash like it was nothing, and really went after another dog. That was ugly.
I heard a story about something happened here yesterday.
Oh no, what happened?
I guess the pit bull must have got through a little hole and got a hold of one of the poodles.
Oh man.
I guess it was really graphic the way my mother described it.
Yeah.
Put both of the dogs down and
That's
people
sad.
got conditioned that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is she said it was a really nice dog. I mean, it was, you know, but.
Oh, my God.
It's their, you know, instinct, I guess. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
yeah. Pitties tend to be wonderful people dogs, maybe not so good with other dogs, you know.
Yeah, well,
But it's a,
That's how they're bred, is to be people friendly and then
dog aggressive, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's such a fixable problem. And I shudder to think how many dogs were euthanized because of such a totally fixable problem.
my old girl, Kaylee, she's pit. And she,
Yeah. They're wonderful dogs.
although she does leave when I walk her, so I gotta fix that. But she's 10 years old. I don't
Yeah. She made it this far. All right, so we're ready, 7 o'clock next week, and be ready, bring your dogs, and we'll rock and roll. All right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
30-foot long.
One of my dogs are pretty much took great dogs.
He did great with his shepherd.